Beautiful people, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. Beautiful Arsenal fans across the globe, It's a beautiful week, Beautiful afternoon, yeah. From the city of Belfast. How you doing? It's me again, the Major Shureke, and today's topic is going to be interesting. But a real quick one before I allow my guest to join on board. My guest, you could request to join this video. That will be pending. I'll accept once I'm done reacting and commenting to trendy things. This week alone, we we had a very very significant move for Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal fan. I was supposed to come at you with my full teeth and all, but God resists the proud. So yeah. Congratulations to Arsenal. And big congratulations to Davido on his album as well. The 5 album. And big congratulations to Priscilla and his Prince Charming from Tanzania. So that will lead me to react to some few trending things, then I'll bring my guest on board. Let me thank you all for making Street and Cathedral so far a journey worthwhile. You guys are the real MVP, and I thank you for always supporting friends, brothers, brethren, sisters. Everyone has got in my corner. I appreciate you all, and I say thank you. Today's topic is the future of labor. In this evolving world, we want to project into how labor is moving from its conventional state to a new phase. But there are some things I want to react to quickly. At first, Mrs. Kemi Badnoch. Last week we were opportune to treat a topic called adolescence, the critical age. And in a recent interview, Mrs. Kemi Badnoch was asked to comment on the movie, and she could reduce such reality that is prevalent in this society and at large to a fiction. I would not like to have come after her to give her some sort of KO, because that would give some people some sort of excitement who have categorized black intellectuals to be crabs in the bucket. So I would have suggested that if such question was asked of you, and even though you've not watched it, a comment like this would have put you in a better spotlight. Now let's do this. If I was your advisor, it would have been, oh well, I've not got time to watch Adolescence. I've heard a lot about it. And when the interviewer now chose and said, oh, the Prime Minister has got time to watch, I said, yeah, I know. I'm going to watch it. It's one of my tab lists. It's just that things have been so busy. And you can use that to even throw sub-jab at Starmer and say, well, Starmer does not leave me a choice to watch things that are so cogent like that, because the state at which he has left this country running, I need to watch the fact that this country is not moving in the right direction. But that being said, it is a shame that we've gotten to the state in this country where young kids are involved in capital offenses, and this has had a negative impact in our society and family at large. And this is the reason why when I come in as your leader, I would look into this, and it is going to be a reduced situations. And I feel, because I'm a mother, I'm a parent, can you see? You've projected yourself to have intellect, you've projected yourself to have emotion, you've projected yourself to feel the way people feel. You see, this is the reason why I don't want to go for a KO, because the ones who actually put you on this spotlight, trying to make you represent the general number of us, don't actually like the fact that you're not, selling the platform well, what they want them to sell, and it's becoming obvious that, I'm careful with my words, not because I'm scared. I'm careful with my words because I'm not happy doing the pulling down thing. I don't want to see your back against the ground, against the wall, even though what you've done in recent times, what you've attempted, things you've said has been more of bashing, but Nigerians are not wired that way. So maybe I can represent well. Nigerians are happy people, we are hardworking people, we want to support, we are brilliant, we are intelligent, we are people who, if we're given opportunity, we make use of that opportunity very well. We widen that gap for people also to come into that space to represent well. So I wouldn't do the bashing because the bashing is already on. It's on already. I could see it, the reaction, the force. So yeah. So once our sister's back is on the ground like that, it's not time for us to now rejoice and all. It's time for us to now let her know that, you see, we don't hate you. And when we talk about personal sentiment and all, maybe one day I'll be able to share my story, how Nigeria has also, happened to me. Because the story of how I lost my dad typically is more like Nigerian happened to me. So we move away from that and we start to see that most of us are being relaxed because we think that the fight is a fight of good and evil. No, it's life and death. I repeat, the fight going on in any form, shape, is not good and evil. It is life and death. And when you take that trajectory seriously, then you understand that we have no time. Finally, I listened to two brilliant minds though. I listened to Sheila on the Teju Babyface podcast, and I love the fact that he was trying to project the fact that you could have a mind of your own, make choice of your own, and that's the kind of society we want. And I love the fact that he was backing his choice up with relevant facts that are so evidential to him. Um, I'm not going to comment much, but it's just the fact that you have the right to choose never to be intimidated, to align to others' thought process. So it's not we having this crowd mentality aligning. It's the fact that I think we need to teach our children how to think and not what to think, and that's the lesson I took from Sheila. That's the lesson I took from Sheila's as a summary on Teju Babyface podcast. And so we move from there finally to Edmond Obilu's State Affairs, where this week he talked about the insecurities and mining exploration in Nigeria, most especially in Itashe community at Oyo State. It's disheartening to see what is going on there, and not just the Itashe. It's because I could listen in between the lines of activities going on in the forest, illegal minings, which has led to the insecurities we have in Nigeria. Many people talked about kidnapping, talk about rituals, organ harvesting, but the wherever you see political class, we need to start asking questions that what is the main thing involved in all these activities. I don't really think political class are interested in all these, kidnapping and all. The mining, illegal mining, yes. Then we can now see that there's an eye opener from there. It's a call for, it's sad because Nigeria is a country I'm passionate about. I love Nigeria to my bone marrow. I want to see Nigeria work, and this is not just talking about it. And this is why we have this topic I want to discuss today, and I want to have my guest on board. Request to join this video, then I'll accept. You have to be using a phone. I don't know, for whatever reason Instagram just supports phone, not laptop and all. Request to join this video, then I'll accept. So yeah, it's sad because you see young people involved in this illegal mining, and at the chain of benefit, they are the base. They are the one who suffer most. They are the one who are exposed to the hazard. They are the one who do the dirty work. They are the foot soldiers, and they are the one even profit less from it. And the fact that we have some of our ruling class in this country who make use of our brilliant young minds to be involved in this kind of debt game. It is disheartening. It's really disheartening. Yeah. Hey, Omoti, Omoti,
Hello, Dimitri.
how you doing?
Very well. How are
I,
you?
I, I'm fine. I'm fine. First of all, let me say I'm proud of your feats and achievements. Hey, Mr. Wale Baku, Baba,
I
Mr. Wale Baku. I have to use phonetics for that your name. When I say Bakari, it doesn't sound Baku. I like you guys look like money. You look like funny money. You can't be in Nigeria like this.
Oh,
like
wow.
for me, I'm in Nigeria. I don't know if the second person is not in Nigeria, but for me, I'm in
I'm
Nigeria.
in the Please don't mind Dimitri.
Okay, Omoti, I was saying that I'm really proud of you. I'm passionate.
Thank
I'm so proud of what you've achieved recently with your LinkedIn event. And
you.
this is why I also brought you up here because I want you to also spread the gospel as much as possible. Mr. Wale Bakari, over the time, I have maximum love and respect for you. You and Okwebubu, maximum love. It's been a long time coming. You should have been on my platform since, bro. Like they say, the time will always come.
Sure,
So
sure.
let me let me do the introduction properly. Then we just set the ball rolling, and I will do the introduction based on punctuality. Based on punctuality. Um, the lady here, oh, the amazing, amazing, beautiful. Actually, guys, she's a Mrs. So I don't know how many heartbreaks that will go out for, but she's a Mrs. She's married. I'm sorry, keep searching, keep. But her name is Omotayo Olajide Papatun. I met this amazing lady in my church back in Nigeria, the youth church. She's been fantastic at that. The fact that we even studied the same course, English, and she's good at it, really good at it, sparked our connection. And we had conversation, and I remember that not just conversation, we met at event again. That Dr. Solomon Igware, to his blessed memory, to his blessed. We met there, and I'm like, oh, no wonder we could click. She's also on this journey of pushing the positive narrative and all. Then recently,
Yeah.
I I got more impressed. You see, anything Abeokuta just win my soft spot. Positive thing for my homeland. So when I saw that
Yeah.
LinkedIn Abeokuta, I'm like, oh, well. And when I saw that it's my own person that is raising the flag, come on, I was willing to jump on it. And thank you for your hard work. She's the LinkedIn brand strategist and coach. She just did the first edition of our event. We made an edition, right? And
Yeah.
it was a massive success. Massive success. You need to go follow her on LinkedIn. And she's been pushing that narrative, trying to, LinkedIn space is actually a professional space, and she's been
Yeah.
pushing that narrative. And that's what I'm talking about. People complain, and Omotayo stepped into it and said, okay, why? Let's find a solution around this, instead of
Yeah.
we just valuing government. And government is not good. Government has happened to every one of us. Government happened to me. Government happened, but the fact that we could actually pick ourselves up and say, man, we can't have our backs on the wall forever. Let's do something about it. That is Omotayo's story. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your energy. I'm so, so,
Thank
so
you.
happy that you're doing it and you're actually on the right track and you're officially welcome to my platform. This is Street and Cathedral.
Thank you so much, Dimitri. Thank you.
And on my right here is a very humble man, a consistent, dedicated, vibrant accolades about this man. I need to invite him for a separate program to say, okay, this is just a program for his portfolio. But Mr. Wale Bakari, before I read that your portfolio, there's one thing I appreciate about him, and I've said it to a player, and this is me giving you a flower. Your simplicity, your accessibility, it's really inspiring. For people like you that I know to actually still, I don't know how you do it. I think you should teach us.
how you could still approach life with simplicity. It's and this man we met in Egypt is a very, very
Sure.
brilliant
Yeah.
man. He's a very, very, when I say very, trust me, he's very, very, and this man has been doing the work, putting in the work. He's well grounded in um, Kwara State. He's
Yeah.
been aligned to Kwara State government. He's a serial tech entrepreneur, entrepreneurial ecosystem builder, and digital business manager. He's the co-founder of webfala.com and My School 365.
Yes.
This man has worked for government, schools, you know, you need to go check his profile so to understand the fact that it takes another different program for me to introduce it. But let us just cut it short at that so it doesn't look like are we here to talk about Wale Bakari or the future of
Sure.
Labour, So you're officially welcome to Street and Cathedral, my brother.
So thank you very much. And also I want to appreciate you for always organizing things that has to talk with Africa, because it's very important we start talking about Africa as a whole. You know, we should not allow other people talk our story. We should start talking about our story ourselves. Like they say in Yoruba adage that on the muscle be any to bani. Understand? We are Africans and we should be talking about our stories. Thank you very
Wow,
much.
wow, although you didn't tell Moti pé tó ṣe bí òwe, but yeah, I appreciate that. You guys are welcome to Street and Cathedral. Street and Cathedral
Thank you.
is where the street comes from. You know, I'm a journalist, so Vox Pop is when you go to the street and you start asking people what's your opinion. So it's
Yeah.
a voice of the people. I really just want a platform where we have a voice, a representation. I'm tired of watching the TV and those people speaking on our behalf. Those people, on the high table, celebrities, people who spend 2 weeks in Nigeria, and they'll now start telling you, Nigeria is hot, bad road. Baba, come Shaki, come see us. come be saying the bad way they talk, you get grammar. Do you not put Doremi for that bad? What in your bad you get? So I really want a platform for the people where people own the platform, and this is the voice of the people. And in a way, this could spark a mental revolution. Because when people now start having a sense of belonging, a voice, personality, and they start saying, yeah, I can do more, I can do more, I can do better. And that is it. And I believe that, we are going to achieve that. And that is Street. Cathedral represents spiritual alignment. I believe we are spiritual people, most especially in Africa.
Sure.
You must, because you don't believe that their spirituality is a danger for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let us keep Christianity and Islam aside now.
Yeah.
Everybody in Africa believes in Magun.
Sure.
Yes or yes? We
Sure.
believe there's Magun. So if you believe there's Magun, then in Africa is not a joke. It's a spiritual, it's a spiritual area. It's a spiritual arena. So you have to believe in something. So because I'm a Christian and Cathedral comes from my personal sentiment, but I've had on this platform beautiful people. Kaltuni, Amina, Alamin, Imam. They've been on my platform. Felix traditionally. But I don't believe that my religion should debar me from having a meaningful conversation with people. We are all Africans. We are humans first before religion said, but we all have spiritual alignments, and that's where the cathedral comes from. So you're officially welcome to Street and Cathedral.
Thank you.
Before we talk about the topic, I want to give a big shout out to everybody that joined and people that have been joining. And please, if we are twerking, the numbers will take.
Sure.
If it was if we're in the wedding of Yabojo's daughter now.
Yeah.
People will follow us because they're giving updates. But this one, people like to watch at their own pace at their time. So the numbers are always increasing on YouTube, on Spotify, Prime Music, and so don't ignore these live.
Sure.
We are doing intellectual business, and we know where we are in the world, not just in Africa, in the world when it comes to intellectualism. So I know I'm talking to people who understand very well. So today's topic is the future of labor in Africa. Africa precisely. The world is tilting towards something that we don't know. With these trade wars, things coming, innovation, technology, we are moving to another phase of evolution. Before you would agree with me. In government, there's nothing called the office of new media. It has been
Yeah.
created. You have special assistants, senior special assistants to new media of the government. In fact, everybody now uses new media. There's a new media director for a pastor, new media director. In fact, Omoti has a new media director. You have
Sure.
so it has so that is of course a labor. People now go to work and say, I'm the one handling Omoti's LinkedIn, I'm the one
Yeah.
handling Omoti's Twitter, yeah,
Yeah.
social media manager. All this kind of job were not there conventional. In fact, your mom cannot relate. My mom cannot relate that I want to go and study for YouTube. YouTube will show phone no mama tell but now, mommy, phone your own some salary for me, you
Yeah.
know.
So
I'm just but now we have to look at the pros and cons. The future of labor in Africa. Things are evolving. The world is pacing,
Sure.
really
yes.
pacing. So let us start with this question, and I'm going to throw this open to you, Omoti. Technological renaissance. Or let us even pick it from the topic itself before we move to the technology. Future of labor.
Yeah.
What can you say about it? What do you think is coming? Where have we gotten to? Where have we left?
Right.
Just say something about the topic
Okay.
itself.
Okay, so the future of labor, in fact, I was still having this conversation with somebody today, and I was telling her how that while growing up, it was just two kinds of work that we seem to have. Is either you were in a 9 to 5 or you were a business owner. And growing up, I did not see myself going into business at first. Although my mom had, she had businesses that she ran, and there were times when I stayed with her or stayed for her in those business establishments. I just did not see myself becoming a business person, right? And I was just always saying, okay, if I couldn't do business, then I have to do 9 to 5. Although I wanted to be a lawyer before, and then that didn't turn out the way I wanted. As Jimmy said before, I ended up studying English.
And me too.
So I saw myself going,
That's the same story we have. We have the same story. Why? I ended up becoming a journalist.
right. So I ended up studying English, and professionally, I saw myself becoming like an HR person, being in the 9 to 5 world. So I had a talent for writing, but I didn't see it as anything big. I didn't see it as a big deal because I mean, if you were a writer back then, you have to only become an author, right? It means you are publishing books and you are writing. So I did not see a future there, right? But coming out of school and seeing how that every day technology is evolving, and now that writing thing has become a profession that pays you in foreign currencies, not even in naira alone. It's just mind blowing. It goes to show us that not what we intended when we were young is what we are seeing now, and where we are now also shows that there's going to be so much more in the future,
Let me chip
right?
this.
So, for instance, now, okay,
Let me chip
okay,
this. Do you
yeah.
really think with the pace at which the world is moving, our educational system in Africa is also catching up?
Sincerely, I don't think so, right? I don't think
Wait,
so, and
wait, wait.
and to be
I'm,
honest, I
I'm
have
sorry.
this
I'm
conversation.
sorry. I asked you because you attended a
Yes.
private university. So I was
Okay.
expecting you to give me a different. Because me, I went to Singet. I went to a federal university.
Right.
So you should be
Okay.
able to tell me that you guys are more advanced than us. So what's going
Well,
on?
when I finished school, which was 2016, I feel like even then we were still not catching up enough. So, say for instance, now courses that are paving the way in the world that are bringing people thousands of dollars and are being done remotely, these courses are still not, accredited in schools. We don't have them in schools yet. Even mass comm, you'll be shocked to see that what they still do in mass communication still revolves around traditional communication,
Mm.
right? Still talk about TV, talk about radio, when there is a whole lot more to that right now, right? People are more on their phones, more on their systems than anywhere else. People are no longer using TVs as they used to, right? So I feel like there are courses that we still not integrated into the Nigerian or African system, right? That needs to be integrated as soon as possible. I mean, I think it was Funab. I heard that Funab, they now have is it coding, like a coding course or something. And I was surprised to see that that course is 4 years like every other course. And I'm like, why? There are people who learn coding under months.
Mm.
Why do you have to make it institutionalized to the point of putting 4 years? Right? These are the issues.
Okay,
These are
Omoti,
the issues.
Omoti, let me take
Yeah.
that. I can see you on fire. You ready? Let me take that as your opening speech. Let me take that as opening speech.
Okay.
Wale back. The same question to you, but I'm going to ask in a
Okay.
different time. I see you that you've really been involved in brain builder, you've involved in all these fact check online with Open Google and all. I
Yeah.
see you in this. Is it that you learn all these things from school and you are representing your school? What happened on your journey? Please, false or
Okay.
Moti.
So
Tell me your Moti is wrong.
for me, most of you studied English, and at least it's something that you can see experience, something you can see
Yeah.
practice. But for me, I had the plan of studying medicine and surgery, but at the end of
Oh,
the day, I ended up to be a zoologist. So one of the
wow.
things when I was giving that
Are
course, one of the
you
things
working in the zoo now?
yeah, that's why I said I'm not working. I, I only work in the zoo for once, and that was when we had this course in school that has to do with just visiting the zoo and the likes. Even those who are lecturer then, they dare not try to feed the lion. So what they do now is that we just try to get local hunters to feed most of these wild animals like
Look,
hyena.
wait. You just shook a table. You shook a table. I have to
Yeah,
go back and shake that table now. Local hunters are the one
yeah.
involved in
In
showing
feeding
you
lions,
how to
yeah, feeding
feed.
lions, feeding hyena.
Please
These
continue.
are that.
Yeah, so, and one of the things I've learned even before getting into school was that I'm somebody who is interested in knowing more about technology, because I could remember then, like 2005, 2006, there's this youth empowerment program around our area in Lagos that we have to pay, I think, around 1.5 or something. So it's something I do attend, and also very interested in things that has to do with technology. In fact, even in my 100 level in school, one of the things I did then was joining things, community that has to do with technology, even in 200 level. So in 200 level, I've been representing some of these international brands like Microsoft partner, Mozilla ambassador,
Why do I
Google
feel,
student.
Wale, why do I feel you are part of those people who has gone and who has done computer lesson then? You went for computer
Yeah,
training.
you understand those things. Then I did computer engineering, but then it was about desktop.
Hmm.
You understand? So that was even the early time of starting Yahoo Yahoo of a thing. So we're one of those who have access to learning more about computer then. So then I think we have somebody, we call him Engineer Joe. So he was the one who was teaching us about to become a computer engineer then and the likes. But the day we are now, all those working on desktop does not work anymore. Everybody now has a laptop and the
Yeah.
like. So even from my earlier time, even after secondary school, I've been involved in technology in one way or the other. So when I was in school, I just had to join community and apply for opportunities that has to do with technology. So joining Microsoft, joining Google as an ambassador was a leveler for me. So after school, I had no option of even thinking about whether to do zoology or not. So my focus was just going to technology, and that was what I did.
Thank you for that. And one
Yeah,
lesson I learned from you, you stayed out of zoo. You entered technology.
sure.
Good. Now let us move to the first question.
Okay.
I love the brilliant submission you guys came from. Different background, but where we are,
Yeah.
by virtue of the
Mm.
fact that the world has evolved. So it is you have to
Mm-hmm.
just tag along or be left behind.
Yeah.
And thank
Yeah.
God we tagged along. So now let's talk about technological renaissance. Every kid, every youth right now. In fact, I think the new way of detecting an illiterate and an educated person is not the ability to speak English,
Right.
it's the
Sure.
ability to engage technology and the ability not to engage technology at all, if you agree with me. So,
Sure.
how do you
Sure.
perceive this current technological renaissance in Africa? And what specific innovations do you believe are most transformative for the labor market currently? So, Moti, do you want to
Okay.
shoot in for?
Okay. Sorry, can you take that question again? Can you take that question again?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
like you can also relate it to social media or anything you've been
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying
I want to
how
give.
do you perceive the current technological renaissance in Africa, the awareness, the
Okay,
awakeness, and what are
okay,
the
okay.
most innovations
I,
that you believe are the most transformative for labor markets?
I believe that I believe that technology is getting where it should be in Africa. We are getting more aware. Even our parents who didn't used to see it as a big deal are beginning to see that this thing is very important in this day and age, or else you'll be left behind. So, say for instance, now my parents have a school, right? And I remember, right now they're on break for second term break. And I remember how that I went to their school at the time when they were writing exams, and I asked the question. I said, okay, so how are you guys giving how do you collect your report sheet now and all of that? And then I remember my dad saying, oh, they still use the hard copy. And I'm like, why are you still using it? By now you should have moved to the online form of these things. And they were like, hey, that is, they would have loved to do that, but the parents around here are quite local, blah blah blah. They might not be able to, it might be difficult for them. Now, I just ignored that conversation. And I'm like, you guys, you will catch up, right? Only for my younger brother to tell me that at the time when they were collating results and whatnot, their generator got faulty, so faulty that they needed close to like 300K to repair it before it could work. And so at that point, they didn't have a choice but to move online.
Hmm.
So everything that they did not want to do
Do
before, they
they were
actually
forced
moved.
to use it. Hmm.
They were forced. And I was surprised when he told me that the feedback from parents is even much better than they anticipated. The parents are like, they prefer this method to even what they were using. But I say, look at that. Look at that. Even the people you think that,
They
they
will
are no
start.
longer, they will come to adjust. They will come to know that this has to be part of their lives, whether they like it or not. I totally love the awareness that tech is beginning to get. People are beginning to see that without it, we are not moving forward. I mean, I went to make my hair somewhere recently, and the person was like, "Oh, can we get cash instead of transfer, instead of doing transfer?" I'm like, I don't hold cash anymore.
Of course.
All the money I have is on my phone. I just need to bring out my phone and send money to you. And they were like, "Will we continue like that?" I said, "Yes." It will even get worse as time goes on. So better get used to using this now. So with every opportunity that I get, for those who are not aware, I make sure that one way or the other, that tech is the in thing. You better get in on it or you get left out,
Hmm.
right? So I believe that right now in Africa, that awareness is coming big time. Even in remote areas, we are beginning to see a huge difference from how it used to be. Although we still need a lot of awareness in that sense. But I believe that, from the city, it moves towards the remote places. And I think we are doing great, actually. It's just that the pace might not be as fast as it should be compared to developed countries. But I still believe that, to a considerable extent, we are getting better than we used to be.
Yeah, thank you for that. Wally, although you could make comment on what you said, but let us move ahead. Let us move forward to digital divide. Something bothers me a lot. I'm coming from the angle of me being a passionate leader of people, an organizer. There's a yawning gap, a yawning disparity between urban kids, urban dwellers, and rural kids. You
True.
know, so we now, in the context of Africa, when it comes to technology, Africa at large itself is not really pacing at the pace where the world expects. My assumption, I prove to be wrong though, but I believe that. Now, in that Africa that is not pacing as expected, we have the rural and the urban kids again. So when the rural kids are still talking about catching up, this and that, there is a rural kid who is slow to TikTok, who is slow to understand what what he just said, ATM. Give me the phone, Mr. ATM. They are still let us talk. What strategies do you think are most effective? Because I see you that you are involving people. What strategies do you think are most effective in bridging the digital divide between urban and rural populations in Africa? And can you share me some of your successful initiatives so far?
Okay, so thank you very much. Like the first question, I just want to say something. I think the most impactful technology that has come to Africa is the issue of democratizing the internet. Understand? It's because everybody have access to internet. You can have access.
I, we can't hear you anymore. Please unmute yourself. Wale, please unmute yourself. Yeah, I can hear you.
Because we have access to internet anywhere we are. For me, it's one of the most greatest technological activity that has come to Africa, because that is why we are talking about the remote work. You can now learn online and the likes. But when we talk about digital divide, in fact, it's one of the most concerned area when we are talking about the rural and the urban community. And even in the world, we have about 3 billion people are not connected in the world, and larger percentage of those people are from sub-Saharan Africa. You know, when we talk about sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria is included, Cameroon, and the likes. And this is a big problem. And for instance, in our organization, one of the things that we do is to ensure that we give access of technology to those who don't have access to it, especially those who are the minority group, like women, children in the number community, and the likes. And it's something that we've been doing for 5 years. For instance, we have a program called African Code Week. This week is being celebrated around October every year. And one of the things that we do is that we go to rural communities to train their children and teachers about robotic coding. That this is how you can code, this is what they call STEM, this is what you can become when you learn STEM. Because there's a need for a lot of people to be involved in STEM, especially women. For instance, now you're talking about the biases in AI. We're talking about biases because we don't have more women in AI. So we want to ensure that we have minority group being represented in these sectors. And we have a lot of initiatives, like I said, the African Code Week. We also have one that we call STEM and Robotics, where we go to schools, we give them robotic kits, we train teachers how they can start building stuff with this robotic kits. Let me give you an instance. There was a program we did last year, and we invited teachers from both government and private schools. And when we started this practical training on how they can build electric waste bin, how they can build automatic car that moves by itself, and when it see an obstacle, is going to divert. You know what one teacher said? He said, despite he has been a physics teacher for 10 years, this is the first time in his life that he's going to be experiencing something that is practical in nature. Wow. This is first time in his life, because that was just like a magic for them. And these are basic things that are done with basic components like Arduino. We have basic things. And one of the things we did was that sketching for items they can use all around, like using can, using carton and the likes. And these people are amazed with the kind of things that they build. And these are basic things that when you go to Western world, are things that people build. They build just out of fun.
Yeah,
like
you know.
2 years I was.
Yeah, okay. Finish your point.
Okay, like last 2 years I was in Russia, and I went to one of their ICT park. If you see kids building robots that are moving, real robots, robots that can detect items, they pick items and tell you this is phone, this is light. But here we are still talking about building e-waste.
You think our kids in Ilaje cannot do those robots?
They can't do this because it's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Are you thinking not
even let me give you.
No, let's not lie to ourselves.
Let me even give you the shocker. Even those we call the urban students, what they just have is they have access to this information. It's not as if they are doing these robotics activities in the practical aspect. And sometimes these things are not even expensive. But the problem is the knowledge gap between those who know this thing and those who does not know it. Let me give an instance. When we want to have this training, do you know we had to fly somebody from Lagos down to to come and teach people? Because we could not get anybody here in Ilorin to teach. I'll give you another instance, is that we are currently running an AI program, AI fellowship for 20 unemployed graduates in Kwara State now. We could not get a trainer who can train those ladies to become an AI engineer in 6 months. We had to fly one from Abuja, another one from Lagos. But like I did tell people, one of the things we have been doing, especially in Kwara State, is just to ensure that we are building talent, because some of those people we have been training are those who are becoming trainers. Some of them are getting remote jobs. Some of them are unemployed before, but they are getting remote jobs and they are living an happy life. And that's one of the things we want to ensure. Okay.
You know what? This is one reason I have to give you specially, and a very big. I have followed you to the latter. You guys,
thank you very much.
And that is why when Omoti also started this, I said, no, Omoti has to come. And she needed to be encouraged because what you guys are doing in Kwara, I want it to be replicated in Ogun State. In fact, Omoti has not seen me come fully to support her. This is just the beginning. This is just the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
And
yeah.
serious, I was really happy to see that if it's someone I know, you know, the fact that you guys are, I see things you do. I follow
Yeah,
both
yeah.
of you. The way you train even women, the way you go to the
Sure, sure.
mosque. In fact,
Yeah,
you guys take SDG go to the mosque. I'm serious,
yeah,
Omoti. People will sit down on the mat. I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Sure, sure.
And
Let
that
me.
that is the kind of partnership we want in Ogun State. Enough of all this distance, paparazzi, we
Sure,
coming to
sure.
your office, we looking citizens that you are serving, looking like we are lobbying for something. We are not lobbying. We
Yeah,
want to
yeah, yeah.
partner with the government
Let
because we are owners of the land as well. You can't be acting like landlord, we acting like peasants, and you treating us like scum. We need to partner in order to make this thing work together. You know what I mean? So
okay,
I like your thoughts. So I move the next question to Omoti
okay,
because I have one question for
okay,
Omoti as well.
okay. So let me just say that for me, I think in Southwest we are still lucky.
Mm.
So because like yes, like
In
last week I just came
comparison to
back
where?
from
In comparison to where?
yes, in comparison to the northern side of the country. Because
Okay.
last week I was just coming back from I just came back from Kano just to launch another program where we are currently training women on software development, cyber security, and data science. And I can tell you that I've been to Southwest, I've seen a lot of things. You see some people, even a graduate who doesn't even know how to run a computer, how to type on a computer, and you ask them question that how were you able to graduate in school and the like. So even if I'm for the ones, if I'm even talking about the digital divide, we go far to the far north. So maybe when we are talking about intermediate digital literacy, we can be talking about the Southwest or South and the likes. I think that's what I have to say
Oh, thank you
for
very
now.
much for
Thank you
that.
very much.
That's
Yeah.
a very brilliant expose. Omoti, you could comment on that, but let me ask you this question. Why you might choose to comment on that quickly before you react to this question? We've moved to the point of AI. People are complaining AI is going to take my job. AI is replacing. But I have seen people engage AI in order to even make them look smarter.
Yeah.
I've seen people I've seen people graduate and say,
Yeah.
I want thanks to AI. The AI makes me more brilliant.
Yeah.
I've seen people say, man, without AI, they are giving fantastic speeches, doing fantastically well. In fact, their bosses now are now aware of AI. We call you, come here, are you that smart or is AI? So that you don't get increment on salary because you are subscribing to one AI app. But jokes apart now,
Yeah.
as AI technologies continue to evolve, we see this. Recently, I saw AI mathematics just snap and put that mathematics into Omoti. A lot of first class will come out these days, and
Right.
some
Right.
schools will bragging, hey, we produce 50, you produce 50 AI smart students, don't you? You know what I mean? So now,
Right.
as AI technologies continue to evolve, how do you envision the balance between job creation and job displacement in Africa? What roles do you think will emerge as essential in the age of AI that we just move into?
Well, I believe that AI wouldn't necessarily take the jobs of people if they know how to leverage it. Leveraging AI in this time is not even negotiable anymore. You must learn it, right? Because I mean, if you don't learn AI, you'll just be left behind. And it's just the way we grew up to see jobs like typewriting, jobs like maybe people that do shorthand. That's the same way we are getting to that age where some jobs like data entry that are just repetitive. If we leave it to AI, people who are, data, what do we call them now? Maybe data experts who do data entry. Very soon, if they don't take that thing a notch higher by leveraging the platform to even become better at it, it might take their jobs. But I believe that if everybody, regardless of what you do, learn how to integrate AI into whatever you do, whether you are a tech person, whether you're a career professional, just like you said, if your boss, there are times when I come across some write-ups and I just know that this is AI, right? I'm a writer. I use AI, but you will almost not be able to know that what I use is AI, right? So there is an intelligence to using AI. There are ways to use prompts. There are ways to just leverage that particular elements to make whatever you do better for people. People won't know, but I don't know. I don't want to say people in Ogun State that are saying. I believe it's an African thing,
So,
right? There are people that use AI
so
and make it
if
obvious that it's AI.
if I will paraphrase the word very well,
Yes,
some people might be competing against AI, while some people will
yes,
be leveraging in order
yes,
to be improved with the use of
right,
AI. And
exactly,
if to
exactly.
compete against I don't think you can win that battle.
I don't think you can win it. You just have to leverage it. Because and you know it's funny how AI is evolving. It's at a very fast pace. You know, you are learning this thing right now, and then you see that there's another thing that is out that you have to catch up with. So you can't even afford to be laid back. You cannot afford to be laid back. You just have to keep learning. What is the next thing that is coming? I mean, right now, if you go do your research, you will see jobs that are likely to be the in thing by 2030. How about you start leveraging that? How about you start actually learning these skills, right? You need to learn these jobs, whatever it is that you need to do to ensure that you get on that to just be on that place. Once
Hmm.
you do everything possible, then the rest are smalls.
Yeah, thank you for that. So Wale, we have to talk about education and training because now, if we realize that the society is moving at a fast pace than what the content of education is being feeding, a big shout out to your platform again, the way you've been also training people and all, which I know Omoti also is also coming into that arena and taking, charge of Abeokuta plant. But we are talking about results here because human beings are involved. They are not just involved in,
Sure.
they are not just interested in, the glamour, the
Mm.
picture. Some people will just teach people how to type, use caps lock, and they'll just snap it.
Yeah.
Remember, so let's talk about given the swift pace of technological change right now, what recommendations would you make to improve educational system and the training system in Africa to prepare our population, to prepare our youth, to prepare our students for future opportunities?
Okay, so for me, I think we just have to realize something. And one of the things, the problem we have been having in Africa is that we do copy and paste a lot. You understand? So we just see them doing something in the Western world, drag it from there and drop it in Africa. And at the end of the day, there are no impacts. So I think one of the things we should try to learn as African is that there's a need for us to do things in our own way. When we do things in our own way, that is when, in fact, we can even, first of all, one of the things we can do is that let's have a pilot phase, a test phase. Let's try this with students in Ogun State. Let's try this with students in Kwara State. Compare both and let's see the one which is the best. Then we adopt it. But we've not even done that in Africa. In fact, I was reading something recently, and somebody was saying that why is it that in law school they still fail people? That the issue of law school should just be either test or pass. But the problem was that they adopted this model from the UK like 60 years ago, and that is what we have been using. Even their mode of dressing in courts, even in advanced country that we copy their model, they've done this. You can go to court anyhow, dress anyway. But in Nigeria, you still have to wear this bead. Do they call it bead or and that coat that this thing that they put on their neck? So there's a need for us to find solution that suits individual country in Africa. Understand? We should not even say it as Africa as a whole. For instance, now in Egypt, they use Arabic. Their students are different. Let them study the one that is beneficial to them and let them adopt it. In Nigeria, let's look at how we can have an education that is going to have impact rather than just like cram la pour. You come to school, you come to class, then you pour it out. Like she said earlier, that for instance, now all this you want to become an or not, it's a training that we are currently doing in our organization now for 6 months. With this 6 months, people will become intermediate experts in AI engineer, but you have to have a basic requirement, know some basic have some basic computer literacy. Then you start from the beginning. Within 6 months, you become an AI engineer. And let me give you the shortcut. Some of our students are even students who are commercial students, art students. But despite that, they cope with mathematics. they cope with logic, because one of the things you have to learn about AI is that you also have to know logic. You're able to cope with logic. In fact, you have like 3 people who are above 50 in that class, and they are coping because we started from basics, and from that basics, we're teaching them from basics to intermediate and to the life. And I can assure you, within the next season, you are going to see projects that they are going to build that are going to benefit to the society. So I think my answer to that is that when it comes to our education system, let us just understand the kind of education that would suit individual country in Africa. Not Africa as an individual country, as in Nigeria. There's a need for us to understand what works for us in Nigeria. Then let us adopt it rather than just doing copy and paste that we are doing all around.
Yes. Before Moti reacts to
Okay.
this question, I want to ask.
Okay.
Why do I feel like I need to ask you this question when it comes to cybersecurity concerns? You know,
Okay.
a lot of people still think it's cool to do this. There was a time we think it was cool to do this internet fraud thing. But right now, even people who are legit utilizing this tech are way more better than people that are,
Sure.
doing the illegal way. I have
Yeah.
friends in tech.
Sure.
I have
Sure.
friends in tech, and trust me, your illegal money is not even coming.
Sure. Sure.
Your illegal money, you are looking for people who are just, living
Yeah.
average life here, that because of the currency rates and whatever.
Sure.
But
Sure.
people are really working for international company organization and getting paid
Sure.
in the standard of this European,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
European standard, and you converting it to Naira, they're living fine. But now let's talk about cyber security concerns. So with the rise of digital interactions, how should African governments and organizations address growing cyber security threats, particularly concerning the safety of vulnerable populations such as women? A lot of people have come, dating, whatnot. That has been their own game online, utilizing this. Whereas now it's also an opportunity to leverage upon. How are you separating the wheat from the tares?
Okay, so for me, I think one of the things that we have to do is the issue of security threats should not be left to the government alone. Should be an all-rounder thing, even to we as an educated person. Understand? So when sometimes one of the things that government just have to do is just to ensure that they have the proper infrastructure in place. Understand? When I complain that something has happened to me, there should be a support. There should be a way of cutting some of these financial thefts that people do online. But when it comes to cyber security threats, it's the work of everybody. And the most powerful aspect of cyber security threats is creating awareness. You understand? A lot of people, even those educated ones, they still scam them because people are vulnerable. And one of the major challenges that is causing this is the issue of poverty. A lot of people want to make money where there is no money. For instance, even you see educated people, they'll tell them, okay, follow this link, fill in your details, we are going to give you so amount of money. And there was a day I was having a section with somebody, and I asked them that, how many of you have clicked on Tinubu is giving 70,000 naira to people? And in that class, we have graduates. They now said, how many of you have filled this kind of form? Everybody is up your hand. You know what I asked them? How many of you have received that money before? But none of them, all of them said no, they can't receive it. But the problem is that even despite they are aware, most of them are aware that this thing are scam, this thing are fake. But because of that ojukokoro, let me call it ojukokoro, people still feel those kind of form. And now do you want government to solve that problem? There's no way government can solve it. So there's a need for us to continue to educate people that there's a need for you to fact check some of this link, because the most I don't know, the most how do I use this English? The most common way that people are being fraud is through phishing links.
Yeah.
There's certainly research and doing. It's through phishing links. Anybody that where most people are being scammed is to click on this link. You receive this email. They tell you.
You know what I believe you. Even here, there's massive awareness. Even in movies, you see it in movies, and I'll tell you. You see, in a subtle way, someone will come in a movie and tell you, "I have a boyfriend." So, oh wow, where is he from? He said he's in Nigeria. So come on, it's a scam or whatever. So, in subtle way, they are also sensitizing us. Yeah, that no, don't fall for all these European love. My daddy is sick. I have a mansion somewhere. Whatnot. I hope people listen now. We can leverage this tech to make real money, like people are doing. Big shout out to skip makers. Big shout out to tech guys like you. Big shout out to the Omotis, the Wali Bakri, the Okpe Gugu. Big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to me also, creating podcasts like this and
Sure,
trying to
sure.
leverage it in diverse angles. These are the things we are talking about in this 21st century, and it's going to evolve. It's going to get better. Omotayo, this is where you come into play. Women in tech. Who is the best person to ask if not a woman? Like they've warned us. Don't stop talking about women when women can talk for themselves. But before then, let me read this from my brother Okpeyemi Adebayo. I think we need to indigenize. We need indigenizations of technology. Like I saw a lady teaching chemistry in Yoruba. I was happy about this. Yes, I remember.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
remember. Was it Dio Fagunwa? Yeah, I think it's Dio Fagunwa, but I'm not so sure that
yes,
uh, he said they use Yoruba language to teach English to some set of people, and these students passed in WAEC in flying color. So because you think in your mother's tongue, in your mother tongue, you
mm-hmm.
process your mother's tongue before you
Yes,
articulate in the language you
right,
choose. So that makes you eloquent in many
Yeah.
ways. You're definitely right. So Omoti, women in tech. I don't know if we have more women in tech now or they are coming up, but I don't want to, I don't want to speak about things I don't know. So, in what ways do you believe technology can be a catalyst for women's empowerment in Africa? And what barriers still exist, and how can they, be overcome? Coming from your own women angle.
well, I think to a very large extent, the awareness that women have been getting, the women empowerment programs and events here and there, how that these scholarship opportunities are just for women, how that these skill opportunities are just, there are a lot of them out there. And I think it's beginning to bring so much awareness to women and the need for them to be in tech, or the need for them to even be learned when it comes to digital generally, right? And I think we're doing better with that. I believe that women are getting into tech, right? But be that as it may, there are still barriers. And I think the barrier we have now is more, in remote areas, like we've been saying. A lot of people in remote areas are still not found the need for these things. And just like the person who asked the question in the comments said, it was part of the things I was going to mention, indigenizing these skills for them, meeting people where right? Meeting them right where they are at is very, very important in helping them come into that community where all of these skills are integrated, where we have both men and women without any barrier whatsoever, right? And I believe that to a very large extent we are doing great. I believe that we are doing great. And
So,
the barrier. Okay, you want to say something?
yeah, no. Land your thought on the barriers because I want to also,
Okay.
take you on cultural acceptance.
Okay. Okay, so I was saying in remote areas, there are still a lot of women who don't know about technology, who still don't have access to internet, who still think that tech is not for women. But I believe that there are also NGOs that are coming up this period. There are a lot of NGOs coming up. There are people who are part of these SDGs. I mean people like my partner on this call now. I believe that what it does also helps to educate women in these spaces and make them know that your gender is not a barrier. If a man can do it, you can do it too, right? And it's giving us that edge in some sense.
I have a colleague back in university. She studied religious studies,
Okay.
and I'm amazed. I've seen her from distance. I'm amazed at what she's doing right now. She's
Right
really
now.
doing this shoots with Moyo. She's engaging,
Okay.
shooting all these wedding
I,
events with
I think I
phone, and
know
she's
her.
adding glamour to it. I even want to partner with her. But it's so amazing to me the way she evolved into that. She
Yeah.
was not conditioned into believing that, oh, I have to go to the classroom by fire by force. She is actually having fun at what she does. And I saw that I do follow people online, and she's one of those people that I've seen that has evolved into an arena that is very impressive. And I think that actually speaks volume of multitude of women out there who are
Yeah.
also evolving into businesses and leveraging on technology in order to do their businesses. And like you also, are thinking outside the box, leveraging on also technology, social media,
Yeah.
leveraging on the fact that,
Yeah.
oh, there is scarcity, there is need for this job, there is need for engagement, there's need for a community, and you bringing it to the doorstep, which is Abeokuta, and say, you know what,
Yeah.
let us engage this space, and that is it. And
Yeah.
it's going to be an explosive movement. And let's talk about
Yeah.
cultural acceptance. Reason is because you're starting a movement. And you know, in every movement, there's always acceptance, there's always restraints.
Yeah.
How important do you think cultural attitudes towards technology are fostering digital literacy and inclusion? So, what step can be taken to shift perceptions positively when it comes to cultural acceptance?
Well, I believe that our culture, we tend to have this belief, everything is still around this gender or no gender thing, right? We tend to have this belief that, oh, tech is for people that are learned, tech is for people that are probably not women, tech is just not for everybody yet, right? And it speaks to what we've been brought up with. But I really believe that women are stepping up. I really believe that people are beginning to break those barriers deliberately, right? So, for instance, when I said to say, okay, I wanted to even do LinkedIn local, a lot of people were like, "Are you sure you'll be able to do this?" Trust me, I got a lot of don't try what is bigger than you,
Hmm.
right? I got a lot of people that did not approve of that vision. Some people even watered it down seriously. I was even shocked that some of them showed up on that day, right? So when they
It's
saw the
it's
turnout,
it's it's
when
it's always like it's always like that.
when they saw the turnout, they were pretty shocked because I was telling them that I was going to do this thing for the first time. I'd never even that was my first event ever, ever.
Wow.
I've never held any events before, right? And it just God just kept enlarging that vision in my heart. And when I started taking this step, of course, with my husband's support, right? When I started taking that step, it felt
Big
like
shout out
I'm
to
not sure
him.
I
Big
was
shout out.
doing this. Even
Big
my
shout out to the man.
why did you
Big shout out to the man
yeah,
behind the man.
big shout out to him, to be honest. Right? Even my parents, they didn't just seem to understand it. I was telling my mom, oh, we are going to be having big people coming for this event. And trust me, what did she say? She said, Amen, in Jesus' name. It will happen like that. And I'm like, it's not a matter of it will happen like that. This is something we're already working on. It's already like that. Right? So there is this cultural perception around when a lady wants to do something big, she's probably just pushing herself beyond what she should do and all of that. I'm just glad that that narrative is beginning to change. With the likes of me, I saw the amount of posts of people saying, "Oh, you don't know what you have started. You don't know what fire you have ignited. Like it has inspired a lot of people." And I'm just glad to see that, right? We are beginning to see that women empowerment is really, really helping. Cultural perceptions are breaking, and it's just really, really beautiful to see.
Okay, Wale, I know we once talked about the urban and the rural areas, which we've talked about, the disparity. I would want you to also mention about the economic disparities. How can digital inclusion initiatives be designed to ensure that low income and marginalized communities benefit from technological advancements and economic growth?
Yes, the problem is that there are a lot of issues, and I think this is where government comes in. Because when you're talking about the rural communities, one of the challenges that they have is one, infrastructure. For instance, now, if you want uh, rural communities to benefit from the technological advancements, technology has to come with infrastructure like access to internet, access to a learning center, human resource, who is going to teach them about
I,
this?
I know
Because let's be
I know
realistic
I
ourselves.
know this is a joke.
Okay,
I know
please.
this is a joke. I know this is a joke. But in some rural area, KBC will say, Emma Bola So, so what do you do in that
Uh,
instance? How do you explain
yes,
to KBC that?
it's not possible. And that's why we said government, because sometimes when we go to rural communities, sometimes what we just go there to do is creating awareness. You understand that we have something called AI, we have something called online safety. Let me give you an instance. There was a day we went to a community very close to Kwasu. And basically, where we went there was just to go and create awareness about digital citizenship and online safety. And there we have both parents and children in the hall. And so we're talking about don't do scam. There are a lot of, because one of the things we do when we want to talk about online safety is that we start from the positive aspect that you can make money online, you can start e-commerce, you can anything that you are doing in your farm, you can promote it online, you can become a content creator and the likes. And when we are educating these people, you know what most of those youth told us that no, we asked the question that what do you think they do with having access to device and also having access to internet? You know what they told us? They said doing Yahoo Yahoo. I was even telling them that no, that you don't need to be doing Yahoo Yahoo when you have access to internet, when you have access to a mobile phone. You know what they told me? Only so I was curious of why those guys, even parents, I'm telling you, parents who are giving birth to kids. So I was very curious of knowing why these people are highly saying that they are interested in Yahoo Yahoo. Two things they said, Yahoo Yahoo and Bet Ninja, playing bets with the internet. So I was curious of knowing why they are highly interested in doing some of these things. So I engaged one of the guy that I saw that was school-headed, and he told us that most of those youth in that community are emulating students they saw living flamboyant life because they are into Yahoo. Understand? So that is their role model because they saw those guys driving cars, doing this, and they believe, okay, if you have access to internet and device, just do Yahoo Yahoo. So that's one of the things. So you understand? So, and one of the things you want to reorientate those kind of people, there's a need for you to show them another role model who is dedicated, who when he sees police, he does not run, and is making money from technology. But can you and I live in that kind of rural community? Let me give you an instance also. Most times when we train people in our organization, they leave Kwara State, either go to Abuja or Lagos, because these are cities. You understand? So this is a tricky question that they are very difficult to answer.
What you say is what you are saying in essence is this, because I want to make it simpler for people. You're speaking very professionally. What you're saying, even if you have gotten set of people from the rural community and train them and think they will go and replicate, these people now start saying, no, they don't fit into that society. That is that Guagalada that fits me. Is that Lucky? Is that Abeokuta? I need to call Motayo Afwa.
You understand?
You know.
You understand? So these are some of the challenges that even sometimes when you want to equip these people, it affects. You know, one of the things we want them is to reciprocate what we've done to them. And in fact, in our organization, it's not their fault. Once they have access to this, they get employed in a good place. They need more comfortable place where they can continue to flourish and develop themselves.
And I think this is getting this is where the government needs to step in, which I believe you. I'm just thinking. I don't know what makes the rural setting on. Maybe it's youthful life. People want to experience life in the city. You know, the buzzing, the fact that I could go to some, take my lady to a nice restaurant, whatnot, and all. That they don't want to be in this rural area where it's laid back. Even though in this era of technology, it's still obtainable that when you make money, where to spend the money also is important.
Very important.
So
no,
this plays a role.
So even like basic access to amenities is, you understand? You don't expect somebody who has learned, who is making, let's say, $500 a month to stay in a place they don't have lights, to stay in a place that don't have access to good road, to stay in a place that does not have access to internet. So those things are very important. But one of the things, like I said, is just government ensuring that they are giving them some infrastructure for others to learn. Understand?
Wale, I'm coming back to you, which I appreciate.
Okay.
I want to take Omoti on collaborative efforts. You just gave us a very big maiden edition, standard one, and I could see the way you've been praising people on your team lead, people who actually made this happen. I want you to also speak on the fact on this thing called collaborative efforts, because a lot of people believe I can do this on my own. I got the dream. I don't want you to steal the dream. I'm not gonna sell you the dream. The dream is mine. God showed me alone. Things like that. So let's move it to public-private. How can public-private partnership be leveraged
Uh,
to enhance digital skills and literacy across Africa. Can you share your successful story of how you
okay.
partnered to achieve this?
Well, being the maiden edition, we didn't get a number of partnerships, a number of sponsorships as we would have loved, because a lot of them wanted to see proofs, and I think that's normal. That when people want to partner with you, they want to see what proof you have that makes what you are saying you want to achieve achievable,
Okay.
right? So, but while we're planning this last LinkedIn local, getting to speak with some people, although it was already close to the event, we got to find out that there were routes we could have gone through that would have made some things much easier. So for instance, now we spoke with someone who told us that it was possible. It was actually possible to get the event, the venue we got for the event. It was possible to get it for free or almost free if we collaborated with the government the right way, if we had, gotten to speak with him as early as possible, then that would have been possible, because even the government is interested in ensuring that their youths are enlightened, right? Anything that would benefit the youth, they are most likely interested, as long as whatever you're proposing, follows their values, follows whatever they want for the people. It makes it possible. So I would say private private and public institutions can come together. So public institutions like NGO, like government institutions, or even private institutions where they can help with training. So I don't know what company now that Mr. Wale is a part of, or what initiative is a part of. It's probably an NGO or a company training people, right? While the government probably sources for these people, or even make the funds available. This, coming together to ensure that as many people as possible get this tech education, are enlightened. There's a way it just pushes the vision faster
Yeah.
and further, and
Speak.
makes a lot more.
Uh,
Can you hear me?
yeah. Speak to this mentality of people who think government is not approachable. They
Ah,
Yes, speak to that
okay.
mentality.
Well, I think it's a big fat lie. I think it's a very big fat lie to think that government is not approachable. I think it's just you having the right sources or accessing the right people that can make it easy. So, for instance, now, well, I don't know whether I should be saying this on live, right? The event we got the event venue, and it was supposed to be at a particular price, but because we were able to meet with the person in charge of the facility, one way or the other, the person was like, you know what, I'm going to try to get you to meet with the permanent secretary or the commissioner of this particular ministry, and see if they can slash the price for you. I've not met them before. He just drove me there and said, I'm going to ensure that this is possible. Right. And he took me there, and right in my presence, the man just had to bring out his biro and slash what had been written on the paper before and reduce the price. He actually made me feel like this thing is not even as difficult as we think. Right. I believe that the government is actually approachable once you have the right sources, once you have the right people that can make that possible.
So from your own word, government is eager
Sorry.
to partner on a
Yeah,
positive initiative. Once you
yeah.
are actually thinking about thinking about some. But this my friend that just commented, and that's Kehinde Odanye, Wale. That's Kehinde Odanye, the Oracle of Development.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
immediately we came back from Egypt, Kehinde and I wanted to replicate the same thing we experienced in Egypt, suggesting, we have a youth conference center where we can actually also, replicate such energy.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, I have followed some people to actually see Shehu Fakorede, to see some people in government, even in Ogun State, approachable. I wouldn't also praise them 100% based on my experience, but let us leave that for another day.
Sure, sure.
But for the sake of the fact that, um, everybody actually also is watching for the fact that this is what I've done, added to my portfolio and all.
Mm.
Yeah, if you bring a win-win deal to the table, it is highly,
Yeah.
uh, it
Well,
is very likely that they'll buy into it. A win-win. Once it's actually also speaks volume, which is okay. It's not devilish at all. If I was in power too, and you bring something to my table, I want you naturally to be responsible enough to think a win.
Right.
From,
Right.
from my angle, yeah. Kende is asking if you could join this live. Maybe wait till the end. We just have two more questions to go. Then, if the two of them agree, we can just bring it briefly, and that's it. But I wouldn't want them to, not to give me the consent. So now let's move ahead. Before I ask the last question, thank you for that collaborative effort that you just pushed in.
Yeah.
While you are the right person for me to ask about sustainable development, because I've seen you guys preach it like the gospel, the new gospel in Africa, sustainable development. So if we attach sustainable development into technology, in your opinion, how does the advancement of technology contribute to the sustainable economic development in Africa? If you are going to advise also government to leverage on it, what will you be saying? What specific areas should we focus on?
Okay, so for me, I think when we talk about the issue of sustainable development, we have 17 SDG goals, and I think the last one is the most important for any government, which has to do with the partnership. So you understand, even talking about the issue of any aspect of technology, are we talking about the issue of internet? Because as a continent, most of this technology that we use are being we loan it from other countries. You understand? Talk about the internet, talk about AI, because even Africa as a country, we don't have data set of building proper AI products. You understand? Look at ChatGPT. Some people will tell you, I've done it before. I wrote something on ChatGPT that I think I told them I need the picture of a white criminal. And you know what he brought? He brought the picture of a black person. You understand? But when you talk about the issue of things that are positive, they bring positive response from the Western world. So if I'm going to talk about when it comes to governments, which area do we need to ensure that the SDG are being developed, is the issue of partnership. There's a need for governments in Africa to partner together to ensure that we have our own things in our own way. You understand? For instance of having access to internet, it's something that we can do as an African, that we have our own direct source of internet
If
rather
if
than
if if, if I am listening to you very well, this is me putting you on the spot right now. If you are not comfortable
okay,
to answer this, don't answer.
okay, that's
If you
fine.
if I'm listening in between the line of what you're saying, what you're trying to
Okay.
say in another way is that we need young leaders spread across Africa. This
No,
is
that is it. Yes, we need young leaders, but not only young leaders. We need young leaders who are visionary, young leaders who understand the situation. Because for me, like I do tell people, I am highly interested in process. You understand? When I talk about process, for instance, now you can't tell me to come and become the president of Nigeria. I'm going to fumble. This is why I'm going to fumble is because I've not passed some processes. You understand? So I share this process a lot. Anybody who wants to be the president of Nigeria should have done some things. Like instance now, person like Bosu Tijani can become the president of Nigeria because he has the experience, he has the exposure and the likes. So for me now, you can be telling me I can be a commissioner, that is fine. You can tell me I can be a minister, that is fine. But telling me I can be a president is a joke because I've not passed through those processes of becoming the president of this country. You understand? For me, I share processes a lot when it comes to leadership.
that
So
reminds
those things
me
are very important.
that reminds me of the words of Shegun Showumi this week on Michael podcast by Sheun Okinbaloye. He
Okay.
said there's a need to collaborate to move the country forward.
Forward, yeah.
So it's a joint thoughts per soul. Everybody needs to put all hands on deck. Yeah,
Sure.
which also brings me to what Omotayo has experienced and shared in what she has just achieved right now, the feat. Every end were on deck, people brought in the result, and that is where we win. Everybody wins. There's a space for the digital guy to feel proud of his work. There's a space for the organizer, the HR department, everybody to feel proud of their work and say, I was the one who designed this for the LinkedIn.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
it's not just Omotayo saying I'm the convener.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
win-win for everybody: the designer, the digital guy, the camera guy. Everybody is. I think that's where we have to envision collaboration. Although I try to keep the joke in when some people say I have the vision that does not accommodate others. It's just if not nightmare. I really think it's a joke. It's a childish dream. Well, what you say, no matter you're on mute.
No, I was just saying yes. I was just agreeing with all
Yeah.
you're
So
saying.
it's like that. So let's move to the last question before we now have any other business. Of course, I always ask my guests, this envisioning, projecting into the future. But for then, I want to specially thank both of you for sparing time out of your busy schedule to dish out this knowledge to younger generations, to mates like us, to even older generations to learn, to people in government, to all and sundry to learn from. I understand that we are all busy people, but we cannot be too busy for Africa. We cannot be too busy for our purpose. We cannot be too busy in order to find time to say, yeah, let me involve myself in anything that is positive. And I really appreciate you. I do not have the right words to appreciate you, but just take that as a sincere appreciation coming straight from the heart. I honor you. I respect you. I thank you so much, and that's it. And God will bless you for me. Thank you very much. So let's move to the last question: future vision. I've seen a future now. If we watch movies now, they call things science fiction. It scares me a lot. Science fiction these days is not just we typing on this system. You see people just playing with this, boom, boom, throwing this away in the air, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, So with that be a day where Oshodi will be like that, like you just go to a train station and you just bring something here, and you just wait. You go to a tech lab in the science fiction, you see those things coming of all. This is the future, and whether we like it or not, it's already around the corner. It's around the corner. We're talking about nanotechnology. We already have augmented reality, virtual reality. We have this fantastic innovation. In was it Japan? There's 7D already. Nations pacing. Pacing. There is a 7D zoo museum. You can browse it. Augmented reality. You could have those field experiences and all. And I'm like, are they going to create a new world for us, and it's going to be an illusion? So well, let's go, because in the context of Africa now, you can see as beautiful as what I've just painted in Africa is becoming more like, are we still going to be struggling with generator for scarcity? Are we still robot maloma function everybody or robot go to charge for 3 days, talk about charge all of a sudden one charger you will not manage me again, you this guy. Are we going to be talking about what we'll be talking about in Africa? Because I don't think I'll be comfortable entering a self-driving car from Ibadan to Abeokuta. You get, but in this part of this world, you see they're moving to electric cars, self-driving car, Tesla. So the vision to me is something we need to question, to project. So let me ask you right now. That's my honest opinion. Looking ahead, what is your vision for the future of labor in Africa in the next decade? What role do you see technology playing in shaping that future?
Okay, so for me, I think what is happening in those advanced world will also come to Africa. But one of the challenges we are going to have is that because we have limited infrastructure, is going to subdue some of this development. For instance, like you tell people, even I've known this for a very long period of time, most of these things happening in the Western world also happens in Nigeria. You understand? Because we have people there who have stayed there. Look at the issue of Health Plus, the issue of Uber, the issue of this, the issue of that. Even look at Cybertruck that they are using in the US, they are not using it in Nigeria. But the problem is that we are not using this self-driving future. So one of the challenges, the future of work in Africa is that people will be working remotely, people will have access to this. Internet of the thing will be working in some homes. But to ensure that most of these things are incorporated into our communities, that is where the major challenges comes in. You understand? The issue of traffic lights, controlling people, telling people when you want to walk, pass through the pedestrian bridge as it's telling you, blind person is coming. Most of this thing will not be incorporated in most part of Nigeria, or let's say Africa. You understand? Some of the things will be done in some aspects. Places like Lekki, places like Ikoyi, because those places are well structured. Places like Banana Island, places like Eco Atlantic, some of these things, even in Abuja and the likes. But most larger part of Nigeria will just experience most of this development. When you go to some places in Lagos, you won't know this is Nigeria, this is Africa. You understand? So what I just see is that most of this advancement will be brought to Africa. Most of this advancement will be brought to Nigeria. But the major challenges is that they are going to be limited in their functionality.
You know
So I
what is
think that's
paining
my
me?
own.
You know what is paining me in choice of word? Brought.
Yeah.
Why not invent? It is hurting me.
That,
Why
now the
not
problem is
produce?
that let's be realistic. We are going to bring it. We can't. I don't want to say we can't. We can. I don't want to say we can't. But most of this will be brought here. We just need to be realistic with
Even
ourselves.
in future,
You
we will be
understand?
bringing it
We
again.
are going to bring in. I think that is way. This is beyond. This is beyond this topic. We want to talk about why we are bringing it. Then we now talk about international politics. That's another thing entirely. You understand? So we not discuss about international politics, and that's another topic entirely. So I think, but for now, most of this we are going to import it here. Most of our rich men, those who live in good condition environments, are going to be using those things. But those using the rural environment will not have access to most of these things. That is just the basic reality of the country or the continent.
Okay, thank you very much. Amoti, the same question. I hope you will say we will invent. Looking ahead, what is what is
Okay,
your
so
vision for the
for me,
future?
well, the future of work or the future of labor in Africa, for me, let me come from this perspective, right? According to research, right now, a lot of countries are doubling down on their population, right? A lot of countries are doubling down on their population except Africa. So as it is, in the next couple of years, Africans will be the people invading the on the international platform. They'll be the one dominating in the workspace, right? And so this means that there will be a lot of remote jobs. Fine, we have that at the moment. In fact, I feel like we have gotten better in that aspect, in Nigeria, because even government workers are now working remotely. I don't know if you know about that,
Yeah.
right? In my house at the moment, there are people who are government workers and they only go to work 3 times in a week, right? It goes to show us that there is a future that is coming that we will probably be working fully from home, right? And based on research, Africans are going to enter into that space. And if we are looking at that, it means that the right things need to be in place to ensure that that is possible. The right skills have to be learned. The education has to be different from what it is now. There has to be a new way we look at things and we learn things. And according to him, we have the barriers to that at the moment. So there is need for more awareness. There is need for more education. There is need for more NGOs to come up. There is need for more internet. I mean, I feel like those are the barriers we have, and that if we can ensure that these gaps are filled, right, I believe Africans will do well. Will do well in it because the future of work is coming to us in Africa. Like there are no doubts about it. It is sure. We are not doubling down on this population thing anytime soon, right? There are no rules or regulations in that
So
aspect. So we need to ensure that we
you
come
don't
up.
think this technology will affect our our human communication that will actually affect our will have a ripple effect on our population. When boys see too much on the screen, making money, working, they won't have time for love.
Yeah.
Like one of my friends said on this podcast, say in South Korea, they don't have time for love. They're always on system. So
Always on
do you
their
think we need to have such youth at
well,
a point in time?
I think it might get to that, but I don't think it's going to be that bad because I believe that based on our already established cultural perspective, where we seem to value human to human interaction more. I believe that I don't think it will get that bad, to be honest. I think we will still have that cultural perspective etched in our memories, etched in us, so much so that we will still value human interaction regardless of how much we work online.
All right, thank you very much. How I wish Wally is here to also give consent on Kende Odani, but I
No,
really think.
I'm here. So yes, it's letting come for me. I don't know.
What about you, Amoti? Are you okay? How many minutes are you not okay with the fact that someone should come on board? It's just been.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Well,
Kende, I'll just spare 5 minutes, please. 5 minutes, and I'll wrap it up because this is going to be timely. Let me accept you. You guys have been so brilliant in your analysis so far, and I want to appreciate you. You've done justice to the topic. It's just that the harsh reality while presented that we'll be bringing in, not creating, is hurting my heart.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, Kenny, how you doing? Yeah, shoot
I'm
real
doing
quick.
okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, perfect. Good evening,
Yeah.
everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. My shout out to my bosses on the call, Mr. Wale, that's my mentor, and Swomo B, right?
I'm a T.
Um, Omoti, it's been an interesting conversation learning from you, and thanks for bringing me on board, Mr. Dimeji. Mr. Dimeji is one of my special brothers, you know. I will leave it at that. So I think for me, it's really interesting trying to learn a lot from our perspective. Very unique perspective. I'm much of a realist, so I like to come from the realist perspective and approach. Um, I would like to go first into that um place of the future of labor, and I wanted to use something Omo T said about population, and I think you mentioned it, Mr. Dimeji. We need to know that it's no game no more, and I would like to give us some data. They said that Nigeria will take the population, and I'm Nigerian, so I like to go straight as a Nigerian, you know. So they said Nigeria will take the population of America in 2030 and 2050, becoming the third most populous country in the world, right? Which means there's
Really?
the kind of a, yeah, 2050, by 2050, Nigeria will probably be the third most populous. So that means that there's going to be a sporadic increase, which is not just consistent increase at per percentage, which means
Mm,
it's going to be almost doubling almost every 10 years. That kind of
yeah.
childbirth rate. So why is that so? I like to look at things like somebody mentioned something like internet technology, people moving from rural areas to urban centers like that. So it is very noted that people would actually be moving from rural areas to urban areas. But we need to see that it's no game no more. People need more of everything, and a lot of things should be happening, growth and everything. But I want us to look at the model. If you look at other areas like Seoul, like South Korea, like you mentioned, if you look at Paris and everything, we know that the population in those cities that it's very much and everything, and the development rapidly going on. But in the Nigerian perspective, the population of Lagos, for instance, the GDP per capita in Lagos, and then the square area and for population of people in Lagos, it's not proportional. What does that mean? It means that a lot of people are moving into the cities, right? So it is known that the development is actually being forced by the population, and then it's looking like the government has to actually respond to the needs of that population. It's not like because it's Lagos, so Lagos is developed. That's why a lot of people are moving into Lagos. No, a lot of people are moving into Lagos, and that is forcing Lagos to develop. Now, those are two different approach, right? So if we then look at it from another different perspective, that what is the future of labor going to look like? It then means that government does not have to do it alone, and that's why you mentioned public-private partnerships for African growth, looking from the Nigerian perspective. And I would like to also take on further that it means that at some point we then need to actually do something when it comes to industrialization, right? Which I'm not really sure we are participating in right now. Industrialization in such a way that we don't have to, we have to go beyond commodity trade where we just, buy things from the market and then sun dry it or probably buy few things and then export it. It then means that we need to innovate, we need to actually increase the production stage. You innovate and then you add value to your production. Why am I taking this thing step by step is that at that time it is no game no more that the place of capital, the place of policy, the place of strategy is needed in place to be able to make sure that the future of labor in Nigeria is actually unique, not only unique, but part of the leading ones in Africa. From what we know, basically well, when it comes to
Yeah.
development index, Nigeria is actually part of those people that are very at the bottom of the list. If you look at Botswana, Botswana is leading, and some other countries like that. Why is this thing different? And I like to compare countries, compare these matrices. It's because of the fact that we are missing something, and that's something that we are missing is what Miss Omoti said about government is approachable. No, I like to be realistic. Nigerian government is not approachable. Nigerian government is not approachable. I'm just
So
factual. Nigerian government is not approachable.
are you saying Omoti is lucky?
No, I'm saying Omoti is actually being maybe probably connected, but I would like to look at it that Omoti is 1% of the 100 people, or 1% of
Lucky.
the 100% of the people that are trying to access the government, right? Maybe Omoti knows people in power or probably connected. I
Okay, go
think
on.
I stand corrected. But I'm trying to prove a point that if you look at it, there's a place of working in tandem to continental strategy, and that's why we have the African Union Agenda 2063. There's also the place of working as regards regional development. We also have the Continental Free Trade Area
Two
Agreement
minutes
and all
more,
this stuff.
Kenny. 2 minutes more. 2 minutes more.
What I'm saying in essence is that if you look at it step by step, we're not even working according to continental strategy. How then do we then want to lead the world or probably create a future that we are not yet in? We're not able to control to control the present. How then do we know of what the future is going to look like?
Hmm.
To me,
Right.
Oh,
I would like to. I would like,
that is fire right there. We are not
yeah,
able to control the present. How then do we
yeah. How
know?
then do we know what the future is going to look like? To me, right now, right? I like to be very specific. There's a lot to be done. Firstly, that has to do from the place of government policy, and not only government policy, because people say government policy and then it sounds cliche, but there's a place of regulatory government policy. Now we talked of there's all these organizations, different organizations have been set up by Nigeria and all this anti-corruption act and all these things. Are they really being taken seriously? And then if you look at the place of public-private partnership, are people just coming together just to do something because of the place of corporate public-private partnerships, or there's a goal
Hmm.
for actually coming
Kenny,
together to
Kenny,
achieve something?
I
We need
think
to look
I'll
at
have
it.
to. I think I have to call you back on a different session.
We need to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very funny
But
game.
it's just that. It's just that. I'm so sorry to cut you short. I have to just do that because the time is up.
Yeah, no problem. But
Is
I think I learned a lot from everybody, but I think I don't agree with the fact that government is approach. I'm a Nigerian, I'm a realist. Nigerian government is not ready,
where
and they're not
where
enablers of Nigeria's future.
Well, let's take
It
this.
is what it is.
Let's drive it home. I really appreciate everyone. I really appreciate Wale Bakwe. I appreciate you, Omotayo, and I appreciate you, Kenny, also jumping on board and giving us a different expose on this topic. We have to
Thank you.
drive this home. The future of labor, to Kenny, is bleaky. To Omoti, it's possible. To Wale Bakwe, it's achievable. Anyways, we're talking about Nigeria, and this is Streets and Cathedral. I want to appreciate you, those that has followed so far, those that joined, those that are passionate like us. Like I said, collaborative effort. It is you and I's responsibility to speak about our realities and predicament. Next week we're going to have another deep conversation. This is why I draw cutting to this episode. Thank you very much, guys, and big shout out to you. Thank you, and more grease to your elbow, more tea. You have connection, so more grease to your
Ah,
elbow.
Exactly. Exactly. Highly
God.
connected. Highly connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye bye,
No.
guys. Thank you very
Thank
much. Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.